talk about profiles and snowboards, finally. So we're all clear on, and I'm only talking about Mervin shit. I don't pay attention to anything else. They got standard camera, they got C3, and they got C2, and they got C2X. Of all those, as of today, my favorite is C3. And I like a C3, but I do like a little bit of that reverse, just a little bit of that reverse bend, straight through the middle. Because I'm telling you, there is a difference when a board bends. When you have a C2 that, or a banana that's got like a big belly in the middle, that board through the middle like that, it doesn't load like a camber board does. Yeah, the ends do, and it keeps you stable more than riding like a potato chip or anything. But when the board has reverse camber against the bend, it loads differently. And I mean I'm talking subtle shit, like the difference between like a Birdman and a BRD. Like the difference is like, honestly, like 0 to 10 pounds of even weight, lightweight through the board. When your camber just loads, you just loads a little bit differently. But here's the thing about rocker and C2 with that bend in the middle. And you gotta know board sports a little bit to understand what I'm about to try to describe. But it's a unique moment of time. And that is like, okay, describe it on a skateboard, skating vert walls, and you're running lines. You're not doing any kick turns, you're not doing any airs, you're not doing any grinds. You're just rolling all 4 wheels on the ground. That's the goal. When you're doing that and you're holding speed, you can be on a flat vert wall or even in a corner and have all 4 wheels on the board loaded with gravity, lightweight, but turning and inverting the board like to so the bottom of the board is a couple degrees at the sky, and those turns happen for a second, but it's this moment of levity, of dancing in that balance of traction and weightlessness. Okay, that on a surfboard, it's like cut back, you fucking throw that bucket and you fucking fall down that wave, like, oh, that moment, that's fucking important, right? That's a fucking important thing. And what I can tell you is that rocker boards and C2 boards, they ride themselves, man. And so you can come out of a turn, either heel side or low, on a C2 or a banana, and you can be going uphill, and long before you have to put any weight on the board at all, long before you're weighting the thing at all, you can literally lean into the turn. So you can lean down the hill while you're going up the hill, and just the thing will just start to turn, and it creates that moment of a board turning with the lightest amount of effort and gravity, because using centrifugal force and all that, and it gives you that weightless kind of like, and the board just turns. And I gotta say this as well, I've been thinking about this profile, like I wouldn't want to talk about it, and I was curious, and I don't think they'll make one, but I think there's a place out there for a C2 or a full rocker board with straight edges as a carving board alone. Just straight carving board. At any rate, I got more to say. I'm going to try to finish up my thoughts about profiles. I want to talk a little more about C2 and what that C2 and banana. C2 more specifically though, in that it with that reverse camber between the bindings, what it does is it creates like a front board and a back board. So you can ride in the front seat, and you can pivot in the front of that board from the center of the board to the tip, and it's like a little mini camber, start to finish. And then the back seat is the same way, in that it's got from the center point to the very end of the board, that's its own little snowboard. It's like 2 snowboards married, and they're bent in the middle. And it's kind of cool, but and anytime you're in anything, it's like in my humble opinion anyway, it's kind of like a POW specific kind of profile. And yeah, I mean, yeah, when you're standing on it, you're putting weight on it, and you're flattening the board, you get those contact points on the end, but they're not real predominant points, not like a camber board or C3 board. They don't ride straight. But what's weird about that is those two little mini snowboards, like sometimes when you POW and you pull back and you're in the back seat or whatever, and you don't have the nose down in the snow, and you're flexing the board already, it creates this like, it's almost like a early rise nose, but the early rise starts between your feet. And it's not a bad thing, but if you start that turn and you're in the back seat, you're powering it, and then you want to even up your weight to straighten it out, it loads in the front. It loads a lot of snow up there, and it doesn't really evacuate it that well. So you really plan a turn and you get all that energy in the board, the front of that board, and you're in the back seat. It just, I don't know, man, it just loads differently. It just does. Whereas like a camber board, it's always arcing into the snow. The camber's bending in, so you get a sense of when you're in the snow, when you're at the right depth. Anyway, what else? Yeah, I think that probably does a wrap for me. All right, listen, it's pretty not standard for me. I never wanted to do any snowboard reviews anywhere but on the lift, but I'm running out of days, and this is really a review so much as it is just a little more language about profile, specifically C2. I was talking on the lift, really important aspect of C2 is when you're riding POW, snow that's like loose and soft, when you're floating through snow and the board is unweighted, when a camber board is unweighted, no G's on it, no gravity, when it's unweighted and you tilt it on its side, if it doesn't have a big taper in it, typically it'll knife in, right? C2, when you're in that unweighted moment and the board is leaning into the snow, and that middle part, when the board's flat, the middle part it's got a really weird like pivot zone, and it's fucking awesome. It's one of the coolest things to C2 in my book, is that you know, you're coming out of a turn and your board is unweighted and you're floating through the snow, and you're not at that point. That board is so loose to do anything you want to do with it. Like you want to put a weird turn in there, whatever, it's happy to do there. And then when it leans, as soon as it leans, it's not working against the turn like camber, it's working into the turn. So as soon as you lean into it, whether you have weight on it, whether you're even in pulling a G, anything, it starts turning. That, I don't know how to put that into words. Whether you fucking love camber, hate camber, like C2, don't C2. You hate C2, you don't know how to ride a snowboard. I'm not saying you can't ride a snowboard down the hill, but if you can't totally grasp everything that C2 is doing, because it's doing so much for you, you have no idea. The other thing I can tell you is you ride C2 for a long time, for 2 seasons, solid. Never get on a camber board. Then get a nice big, heavy, lost camera, heavy camber board, and you just find out what it takes to turn that thing versus C2. Anyway, I think that's what I had to say about that. So it's an important subject.